गणानां त्वा गणपतिं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमम् ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनः शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम्। ॐ श्री महागणाधिपतये नमः। ॐ वृषभं शर्षणीनां विश्वरूपमदाभ्यं बृहस्पतिं वरेण्यम्। ॐ तद्विष्णोः परमं स्वयं सदा पश्यन्ति सूरयः दिवीव चक्षुराततम्। ॐ श्री महालक्ष्म्यै नमः। ॐ ज्योतिर्ब्राह्माय नमः। ॐ दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। Everybody say after me, Hare Ram Krishna Chaitanya. ॐ हरे राम कृष्ण हरे राम कृष्ण हरे राम कृष्ण। Actually, what happened is, technically I have approached them. Somebody passed away, a relative. So technically some people even stay away from any mantra. Like what I was advised is just stay away from Bijaksha. So that's why I took all the Bijaksha from the mantra. Okay, so what nakshatra are we in? Yeah, we have to do Vishakha. Vishakha is over. Okay. Anuradha we did? Yeah, Vishakha we did, Indragini. 14 we did. Okay, now Anuradha nakshatra. This is the mantra for Mitra as the Lord of Anuradha Nakshatra. Om Ruddhasma Havyair Namasopasadya Mitram Devam Mitradheyam Nostu Anuradhan Havisha Vardhayanta Shatam Jive Masaratas Savira Chitram Nakshatra Mudagat Purastat Anuradhasa iti yadvadanti tannitra eti patibhirdevayanaih hiranyayairvitatairantarikshe. So the next mantra is for Indra as the Lord of the Jyeshtha Nakshatra. Indro Jyeshtha Manu Nakshastrameti yasmin vrutram vrutkratu chetasara Tasmin vayam amrutam duhana sudham tare maduritim duristin purandaraya vrutavaya dhusnave asadhaya sahamanaya midhuse indraya jyestha madhumudduhana urum krunotu jajamanaya lokam. So we have covered 2/3 of the zodiac. So next is Mula, Niriti. The thing with Mula and Jyeshtha is owned by Indra. He is the ruler of all the gods. And if you see Mula, which we will do in the next class, Mula is ruled by Niriti. She is a Jamaness. So she also rules the southwestern direction. So Rakshasi on one side and Indra, the god, basically, ruler of all the gods on the other side. So this border between Jyeshtha and Mula, the border between Scorpio and Sagittarius is the border between Indra and Lakshmi, godliness of the government. So that is and also water and fire, we have all, every way you see there is a big conversion going on, there is a big transformation going on at that border. So that border is a very critical border among all the Gandantas that we have. This is a very critical Gandanta. Okay. So next class we will do Mula Nakshatra. I was telling, we just did the mantras of Anuradha and Jyestha. I was saying the border between Jyestha and Mula, which is the border between Scorpio and Sagittarius. All Gandantas are borders between fire and water. So there is the Gana desirable. But this Gandanta is particularly bad because even from the point of view of Nakshatra Devata, one side is Indra, the other side is Verity, the dominant. So there is a big clash going on, a big transformation going on. So that is why that particular Gandanta is a dangerous Gandanta. Now, do you have any questions so far? Not in Gandanta, Mula, just how it in general. Anybody have any questions? What?
Directions.
Yeah.
For example, southwest.
Yeah.
Southwest
is ruled by Niriti. Yeah.
And any, like we were having discussion about the last
Yeah.
So are they, like for example, Saturn in Saturday is 4th Lord.
Yeah.
So that means south is here. That's kind of any relation.
Yeah, you can make such relation. In Vastu, normally the direction attributed are Sun is in the center, in the Brahmasthanam of any area of living. It can be a room, or it can be the entire house, or it can be the plot, or it can be even a village, or it can be a big town or a country also. But if you take any area, that area is divided into various parts. There are actually various theories. The most popular is you divide it into 81 parts, 9 by 9 square. You take a rectangle, you divide it into 9 by 9 parts, and all the 81 parts have 81 devatas. So for example, if you have a room, your living room or some room, depending on where you are putting various things, you may put your TV here, you may put your sofa there, and you are, it's not just about putting in the south, putting in the north, putting in the west, putting in the east. If you have these 81 devatas, so in which devatas part you are putting, based on it, the result, and based on how you are starting, the results can be variant. So the way Vastu is done by many people today is very superficial. If you go to the Shastra, there is much more. But leaving all that, leaving the 81 parts division, in general, if you divide into the middle part, the 8 directions, if you divide into 9 parts, the middle part is ruled by Sun, the east is ruled by Venus, southeast is ruled by, can you guess, Agni? No, planet, can you guess planet? Southeast, the Sanskrit name is Agneya, means relative to Agni. So can you guess which planet we do that? Mars, yes. Mars is Agneya, southeast, and then south. Oh, sorry, actually I made it. Not Mars. Moon is Agneya, and Mars is south. Mars. Moon is southeast. In the normal Vastu division, Moon is Agneya, and Mars is in the south, and southwest is Rahu, west is Saturn. Yeah. Satyanarayana. Southeast is Moon, south is Mars, southwest is Rahu, west is Saturn, northwest is Ketu, north is Jupiter, northeast is Mercury. There are several other classifications. Based on this physical classification, Vastu related classification, this is the best. There is another one in which Jupiter comes into northeast also. That is different. So Mercury is the leftover planet. Yeah. So this is basically, these are the standard directions that people give. So if you look at the D4 and if you look at the planetary influence right now, like I say, it is Moon's influence. There is a chance that the person will go to the southeast direction. So like that you can use, but let us leave that for now.
This story is just a small part of it. This story is small. Our session on Delhi conference, they have in January, and what?
So we can get those and try to use that. So we will move on. Do you have any charts that you were puzzled by, if you want the class to get a look at in the last week? Any chart that you have seen? Or in general, any question, any chart that you want the class to see, or any questions you have so far?
We don't look at questions for the customer
Yeah, we'll see. Any other question will always be at the bottom because you are the one who asked lot of things, lot of charts. So if nobody has any chart, then we'll see. No, I'm kidding. Anybody has any chart that you want to see? Okay, then we'll take Seshu's chart. Seshu, what is the data? Oh, it didn't connect. Is it turned on? February 2nd, 1970. 19:30 hours. That means 7:30 p.m. Place? Secunderabad, India. Okay. Any initials or name or how do you spell it? VIMFI. Vamsi. Seshu's chart. Seshu's example. Okay. One second, let me type that so that I have the this person walked into an open house. Yeah. Won a lottery of $200,000. Won a lottery of 200,000 calculation price. Okay, so this person walked into for those who are listening to the audio, this person walked into an open house in California, and there was a lottery which would basically give a $200,000 concession in the price, but of course we can't sell it for the next 5 years. So this person won the lottery and then he got the house for very cheap, $200,000 less. Okay. So the Lagna you have is 8 degrees 49 minutes Leo. Okay. So we have the right data. The data is February 2, 1970, 1930, Indian Standard Time, Secunderabad, India. 78 degrees 30 minutes east, 17 degrees 27 minutes north. Okay. Now this person had fortune with respect to buying a house. Do you know the time frame? Question? In 2005. Okay, in 2005, second half. Okay. In the second half of 2005, he had this fortune. Okay, you guys guys, what do you want to do? What chart should you see? Do you want to see natal chart or do you want to see the annual chart? What do you Yeah. Which one do you want first? We'll see both. First natal, start with natal. It's a good idea. So what charts? What charts show the fortune with respect to the house that you are doing? D4, okay. Let us actually change it to D4. D4 is the chart of residence and any real estate that you own or occupy. Okay, that is the next question I was going to ask. What is the data that we should be using here? What were you saying? Seventh Lord in 7th is not a special data. 7th Lord in Lagna is a special data. Rahu, the 7th Lord, is in the 7th house. Had Rahu been in Leo, the special data would have applied. So let us go through all the datas. Is Lagna in Vargottama? Lagna in Vargottama? No. Rashi is Leo. Navamsa Lagna is Gemini. So Lagna is not in Vargottama. So Shatabdika Dasha is not applicable. Is Lagna Lord in the 7th house, Sun, or 7th Lord in Lagna, Saturn and Rahu? No. So Dusaptati Samadasya does not apply. Is the 10th Lord in the 10th house? No. So Chaturasiti Samadasya does not apply. Now what are the other dashas that we use? We left one. Sun in Lagna. Is Sun in Lagna? No. Sashihari Dasha doesn't apply. So the special dashas that we normally rely on, they don't apply here. So what is the dasha you should use? Vimshottari from moon. So if you look at Vimshottari dasha, what is the dasha he was running? He was at the end of Sun dasha. Because he said until December could be moon as well. So it's basically on the border of Sun and Moon dasha that this event happened. Okay? Okay. Do you want to see the Narayan dasha? Of which chart? D4. So we'll see the Narayan dasha of the Chaturthamsha of D4 chart. So what is the dasha running? Capricorn. From 2004 February to 2010 February, the Capricorn Narayan dasha is running. Now let us look at the D4 chart. And let us see. Oh, that's good. So first, what Teshu is saying is, even before you see the dasha and see what dasha is running right now, see the D4 chart first. Is a good chart. It will show luck with respect to property, or is a bad chart. See, where is Lagna Lord? How is Lagna? What is the strength of Lagna? How is Lagna? Lagna Lord is in the 8th house. Is it good or bad? You think that for Mars being in the 8th house is good? For Mars being in the 8th house is not good. Mars being in the 8th house can give sudden setbacks, sudden changes. So Mars in the 8th is not good. But Lagna Lord being in the 8th is good. Whether it is Mars or Mercury or Jupiter or whoever it is, Lagna Lord being in 8th house is good. What is 8th house? Sudden changes. It's basically either for good or for bad. It can be a sudden rise or sudden fall. That is what 8th house is. Big changes. And if Lagna Lord is in the 8th house, he is told to give some sudden changes. He will give good changes or bad changes. That depends on his agenda. What is Lagna Lord's agenda always? Good. Lagna Lord's agenda is to give you, to get you all set with respect to the area shown by that divisional chart. If Lagna Lord of Dashamsha, his primary responsibility is to give you good work, good career. Lagna Lord of Chaturvimshamsha, D24, his primary responsibility is to give you good education. He is the seed of all your education. Similarly, Lagna Lord of D4 is the seed of all your fortune with respect to residence and property and real estate. So, and that too he is Mars, the planet of property, real estate. So he is in the 8th house. So that can show some sudden fortune sometimes with respect to a house. You may get a very good price on a house, or you may, when you are selling a house, you may get a good price, or you may buy a property somewhere in some weird place, some place away from all civilization, and suddenly it can become hard because of something the government does, and you may get a millionaire. That kind of things are possible when the Lagna Lord is in the 8th house, in the deeper part. Now, 6th house Lord in the 8th house is good. That is Vivek Rajoga. How is the other Lagna Lord? There is another Lagna Lord. For Scorpio there are 2 Lords, Mars and Ketu. How is Ketu? He is in the 4th house. Nothing good, nothing bad. But he is in a friendly house. And for fortune, what are the houses? What are the important houses for fortune? Suddenly you got lucky. What are the houses that show luck? The primary house is the 9th house, and the secondary house is, what is the house of Purva Punya? 5th house. 5th house is the house of Purva Punya. All the fortune that you are carrying from previous life. So 5th house is Purva Punya, and 9th house is the fortune. So 5th and 9th houses are very important. Now how are those houses? Are they good or bad? Pardon? Yeah. The 5th Lord Jupiter is not so strong, but he is in Nisha. But he is aspecting 9. He is very weak. The 5th Lord Jupiter is very weak. He is in Manakaraka Sthana and he is debilitated. But the relieving factor is he has association with Arudha Lagna. If you forget Lagna for a moment, if you look at Arudha Lagna, which is your tangible status, Lagna is the self from the point of view of property. Aruha Lagna is the self from the point of view of property as seen by the world, as seeable by the world. Lagna world cannot see. If he suddenly got lucky and people know it, oh, he got $200,000 something. That is basically not Lagna, that is Aruha Lagna. Aruha Lagna is what is visible to the world. So, he is in Aruha Lagna, the fifth lord, a benefit, a natural benefit as well as functional benefit. He is in Aruha Lagna, and moreover, he is aspecting the ninth house. So there is a link between fifth lord and the ninth house. He is aspecting ninth house. And who are in the ninth house? Who are being aspected by Jupiter? Is there a yoga between them? The seventh lord Venus, the fourth lord Saturn, two quadrant lords, and the 10th lord Sun. Except the Lagna, the three other quadrants, they lords are in Cancer. The Cancer is a very crucial sign in this chart. It is key to the chart, to the default chart. So 4th lord, 7th lord and 10th lord are in that house, and just quadrant lords being together is not a yoga, because all the luck is brought by the trine lords. Quadrant lords only show effort. Trine lords show the luck. Quadrant lords are they are represented by Vishnu, and trine lords are Lakshmi. So unless Vishnu and Lakshmi are together, there is no yoga. Then only there is yoga. So is there a yoga between those quadrant lords and the trine lord here? Anybody? Mutual aspect actually. Jupiter is aspecting and being aspected. So if there is an aspect between quadrant lords and trine lords, let's say Raj Yoga. So there is a Raj Yoga being given by Jupiter and all these three planets. Is that all, or is there any other Raj Yoga? Anybody? No. Moon and Sun have an exchange. Moon is in Sun's house, Sun is in Moon's house. So the 9th lord and the 10th lord are exchanging their position. So there is, because of the Parivartana, there is another Raj Yoga between Sun and Moon. Pardon me? Yeah, Dharma Karma Adhipati Yoga. Of course, when you say Dharma and Karma, in the chart of fortune and real estate, what is the Dharma? Is it like donating things to people? No, this is the chart of your fortune. So if you have Dharma Karma Adhipati Yoga there, what is the Dharma? Dharma is to acquire more properties. That is your Dharma, as far as before is concerned. As far as this chart is concerned. So, the yoga between Dharma Lord and the Karma Lord basically means he will be lucky with respect to what this thought was. Rahu is affecting Mars. Rahu is affecting Mars. What would that show? The 9th Lord of fortune is afflicted by Rahu. What would it show? Yeah. It is also a yoga. The 4th Lord Rahu of Sukhasthana and the 9th Lord Moon of fortune are together, but they don't like each other. And it is Rahu. What would that show? If the 9th Lord has association with Rahu in Chittanta, what can we show? He gives fortune. Moon's agenda is fortune. Rahu doesn't really, is not a very bad planet. He wants to give Sukha. But Rahu has his own way. And he will influence Moon to basically use Rahu's way. What is Rahu's way of fortune? Either defeat or in a foreign country. Rahu is the Karaka for being abroad. And Moon is the 9th Lord. And that too Badhakasthana here. He is the Badhakesha. Because Lagna is a fixed Lagna, Moon is Badhakesha. So Badhakesha is with Rahu. That is a clear combination. If Badhakesha is with Rahu, or Badhakasthana is very strong, let us say. It has either Rahu or 9th Lord or 12th Lord or 7th Lord. Then you can say that the person will live abroad. So that basically increases the chance of living abroad. So that yoga here, it is not a great yoga, but it shows fortune away from motherland. It doesn't really show not having fortune. And of course, in a different chart, you can also show making lot of money in real estate through business. You can deceive people, you can sell properties that are not good properties, you can cheat people, you can occupy in many places, kabja karna. In Hyderabad is very popular. So you can occupy somebody else's property. All those things are also possible when Rahu is involved. Let you see from the Rashi Navamsa also, you see whether he is a dharmic person. You look at the Dashamsa, what is the career of the person. Based on all those, you can judge whether that is the case. But let us assume for now that in this case that is not true. It just shows having fortune, making fortune away from the other. Okay. Now, let us go back. because we are reasonably satisfied that this Chaturthams Lagna is correct. Of course, we are not trying to rectify. Actually, are we unbound? In this case, we may want to rectify. We have a window of 5 minutes 37 seconds backward. The time changes by that much time, then Lagna changes in Chaturthamsa. And forward, we have 26 minutes 11 seconds. So we have a big room. So assuming that this time is accurate within 5 minutes, or assuming that Seshu rectified and he did a good job, and if we accept the data to be correct, this Lagna seems reasonable. So, yeah. Properties, yeah. Properties and Sukha, yes.
So his agenda is to promote that.
Yeah. His agenda is to promote that, and he is a Karaka of being abroad. And he is with Bhadgesha, who shows staying as a motherland, and whose agenda is also to give fortune. So both will, when they are together, they will give fortune, but in a foreign country.
So when you say Bharat,
It's not bad. Not very bad. Yeah. It's not bad. It's a yoga. It's an uncomfortable yoga.
so relatively,
The thing is, Rahu being the fourth lord is not really that great. For Rahu, fourth ownership is not great. So this person will have a lot of fortune away from his motherland, but he may not have that sukha from his own home. So yeah, Rahu has no idea how to give sukha to a person. Rahu knows how to give lot of material things, lot of acquisitions. He doesn't know how to give the internal happiness. That is not on Rahu's plate. But the thing is, we can't draw general conclusions about how happy the person is. That is from the Rashi chart and B16 chart. That is overall happiness of a person. We are only judging from the property, from the house he owns and the house he occupies. Not great property, not great happiness. Ketu is there in the fourth house. Yes, Ketu in the fourth house, not good for fourth house. Rahu owns the fourth house. The only redeeming factor there is Moon is aspect in the fourth house. Moon is Karaka. When it comes to Sukha, the mental happiness, Moon is the Karaka. And he is aspecting the fourth house. So that is a redeeming factor. But overall, I can conclude that as far as the house he owns is concerned, and the houses he occupies, the houses he owns or the house he occupies is concerned, he will not be very happy. He will not be able to enjoy it. He will not be able to spend a lot of quality time in that house.
isn't one Saturn is the stronger lord here?
That is true.
So more or less Saturn will be
That is
so lord is not.
true. Right. But still Ketu being in the fourth house is, and even for Saturn, owning of the fourth house is not a great thing. For a malefic planet like Saturn or Rahu, ownership of a quadrant is neutral. For him, if he owns the third house or sixth house or 11th house, then he will know, okay, this is the agenda given to me, and I am good at it. I am good at this. Now Saturn is given the agenda of giving sukha to the person. And he says, sukha, what is it? I know how to make him work hard. I know how to make him determined. Sukha, I don't know what it is. It's a useless thing. Don't worry about this. That is what Saturn will say, or even Rahu will say. So, for them, ownership of the fourth house is not that great. We were just talking about Saturn saying, Sukha, what is it? I don't know what is Sukha. I know only making people work hard and then Narayan works. So, it means that for Narayan, as far as Narayan is concerned, not a lot of Sukha for sometimes. He has to work hard for sometimes. Especially to show that Saturn will make him work hard. Saturn will take away some Sukha from him, make him work hard in the coming couple of years. So that would be a Sukha of Narayan. Moon. Moon is a fourth house. He is exalted. In general, he is good. But I guess actually Saturn is going to transit in his fourth house. From this October. No, I'm talking about some moon. When we say transit, we usually refer to moon. And from the exalted moon, Taurus, Chandrasi, Saturn will be transiting in the fourth house from October. So, basically, from that point of view, not lot of comfort. So, instead of just sitting back, relaxing, you should be working hard. So, that is what Saturn wanted to tell you just as you walk into the class. Find what? When a planet is transiting where? Yeah, you can find it through a Panchang, or if you have my software, so in Jagannath House, you can download from my. Okay, then you can enter the date that you want. See, for example, I'll show you. Just make a chart, a new chart. Oops. Now, when you make a chart, just look at the date and then see what is the date you want. Let's say in November. How is the planetary position in November? November 23, 2006. You just enter that date, you see where Saturn is. Saturn and Ketu are in Leo. So like that you can find out. And also even in this chart, you can go to the transit tab and you can enter the dates that you want here. And then the transit positions will show up. So that way also you can find out. In the old days they used to use Panchang, but in the computer days you don't need Panchang. You can see how planets will be in 3400, assuming you are alive then. Whether you have 11th house Saturn or 10th house Saturn, you can find out. Okay. Now, what were we saying? We were talking about, we were generally looking at this before to see if there is fortune with respect to house, with respect to real estate, whether there is some fortune in this chart. And we concluded that 9th house is so strong, it has so many Rajyogas, the 9th house. So this person can get lucky with respect to house. Now, what are the dashas that can give that luck? First let us look at Vimshottari. Yes, Sriram? Yeah, we were looking at both actually. We looked at both and then we stepped back, we looked at the natal chart. Now we will go back to the dashas, we will look at Vimshottari and then we will look at Narayana. So Vimshottari dasha, this event happened towards the end of Sun dasha. It was on the border of Sun and Moon dasha. So when Sun Moon transition was about to occur, when Sun dasha was about to end and Moon dasha was about to begin, that's when the event happened. And if we look at the yoga, Sun and Moon are important planets in this yoga. Sun is the 10th lord, Moon is the 9th lord, and they have an exchange. 9th lord in 10th, 10th lord in 9th. So Dharma Karma yoga that you guys identified earlier, Siddham identified earlier, that yoga is giving its result. Okay? Now, how is the Narayan dasha of this? The dasha that was running at the time of the event was Capricorn. Now, we have to identify when which result is given. So, you divide the dasha into three parts. One part is the sign itself, the other part is the lord of the sign, the final part is the planet occupying the sign and the planet aspecting the sign. Now, what is the order? First, Capricorn will get to choose. The sign will get to choose. And sign is a Prishthvodaya Rashi. Capricorn is a back-rising sign. So, it prefers to give its result towards the end of the dasha. So, the last 4 Antardashas, from 2008 February till 2010 February, this 1/3 of the dasha will end up giving the result of Capricorn. And now, out of the remaining 2 1/3, the Lord will choose. And Lord, who is the Lord? Rahu or Saturn? Saturn is the stronger Lord. And is he in a back-rising sign or front-rising sign? Prishthvodaya Rashi, head-rising sign, or Prishthvodaya Rashi? He is in Cancer. The Lord of Capricorn, Saturn, is in Cancer. Cancer is also a Prishthvodaya Rashi, a back-rising sign. So Saturn will give us his result as late as possible, just like Capricorn. So out of the 2 1/3 remaining, the first 1/3 and the middle 1/3, Saturn will end up choosing the middle 1/3 because the last 1/3 is already chosen by Capricorn. So Capricorn results in these 4 Antardashas, 2008 to 2010. Saturn results in these 4 Antardashas, 2006 February till 2008 February. This is the order. Now in the first 4 Antardashas, this is basically the first 1/3, the results of the occupant and aspectors, Moon, Rahu and Jupiter. Those 3 planets will end up giving their results in the first 4 Antardashas. Okay? How long are the first 4 Antardashas? 2 years, because it's a 6-year dasha. 4 to 10. Yeah. So exactly 2 years. 2 years. Exactly 2 years. 2 years means 24 months. So there is a 24-month period from 2004 February till 2006 February, 24-month period. which is shared by Jupiter, Moon and Rahu in equal parts. So that is 8 months each. So 2004 February till 2004 October is one planet. We'll see which one, the first planet. 2004 October till 2005 June is the second planet. And 2005 June till 2006 February. I'm dividing these 2 years into 3 equal parts. So that is the third planet. Now what is the order? Before we see the order, the result was given in the third part, right? 2005 June till 2006 February. So the last 8 months of this 2 years part. So in the final 1/3 of the first 1/3. So who are the planets? What is the order? Moon is at 27 degrees. Jupiter is at 12 degrees. Rahu is at 20 degrees. So what is the order? Yeah, Moon. Then third is what? So the first 1/3 Moon will give his result. Second 1/3 Jupiter will give his result. The third 1/3 Rahu will give his result. During Rahu's period the result happens. Does it make sense? Why not? He is with the 9th Lord. He basically takes over the 9th Lord Moon functionality. It's an uncomfortable relationship, but there is a yoga, and Rahu dominates that yoga. He can give the results of that yoga, and he has Argala on the 9th house. He is the 4th Lord of giving a home. Okay, what would it be? Yeah, resources relating to property. What is the thing that all the other planets involved in this yoga? See, there are so many planets involved in the yoga. Jupiter, Venus, Moon, Sun, Saturn, so many planets. What is it that Rahu has that these planets don't have? Why Rahu ended up giving this to them? Okay, Moon is also in 8th place. What is special about only Rahu here? Sorry. The event is, he walked into an open house, and there was a lottery being taken. He won that lottery. So he got $200,000 concession on that house. The only condition being, he can't sell it for this 5 years. He has to hold on to it for at least 5 years before he sells it. Otherwise, he will sell it immediately and make $200,000 profit. But it's worth it to wait. Because we need a house anyway. That's why he presumably went to an open house. Okay, so now Rahu can give the result, Moon can give the result, Jupiter can give the result. All of them have an association with the 9th house and the 9th Lord. But this tangible event of fortune, what is important? 9th house, 9th Lord, and there is another thing that is important. What is it? A9. Is A9 important for this event? Because this is not just fortune. This is a tangible fortune. Is it or not? You won a lottery. The whole world, not the whole world, but some people outside who have exposure, they know that he won a lottery. Oh, man, he won 300,000 lottery. God. So that awe is there. So that is a tangible event. It's a tangible manifestation of fortune. So what is the Arudha important for that? Arudha show tangible things that can be seen by the world. So A9 is very important. So out of all the planets who have a link with the 9th house, 9th Lord, etc., they don't really have a link to the A9. Exalted Mercury is in A9, A9 is in the 11th house, very strong. It shows fortune, but the thing with Rahu is he has a link with A9. What is the link? Anybody found? You just keep quiet. After a while, then we talk. Nobody speaks. He has 2nd house aspect. If you look at Rahu, what are the signs that are aspected by him? Highlight Rasi, aspected by this planet by Grahadrishti. What are the signs aspected by him? Virgo, Sagittarius, Capricorn and Aries. These are the signs that Rahu aspects. So not only is he with the 9th Lord, not only is he giving a Raja Yoga, not only is he the 4th Lord of residence, but he is aspecting 2 Arudhas, A4 and A2. He is A4 and A9. He is aspecting A4, which is a tangible house. a house that you live in, that is A4, Gruhapada, and he is aspecting A9, Bhagyapada, the tangible manifestation of your fortune. So what does Grahadrishti mean? Desire to give. So Rahu is not only the fourth lord of house, but he has a tangible, he has a desire to give a home to live in. He has a desire to give him fortune. And there is actually another thing that you should notice. A9 is with A8. What does A8 show? A sudden, 8th house is in general sudden changes, suddenness, things that are sudden. Sudden fall or sudden rise. So that A8 has association with A9. Yeah, A7 also. A7 is basically dealing with people, partnerships. Yeah, some friend or somebody basically told him so he went. And of course, this was an open house. Basically, it is an interaction. A7 is a 7th house is relationship or interaction. A7 is tangible manifestation of it. When I meet you, within my mind, I am basically thinking. I have an interaction going on. The part of the interaction which is internal is the 7th house, and the part of the interaction which is external and tangible to the world, that is A7. So A7 is there, A8 is there, A9 is there. So he walked into an open house, he was interacting with a house and with some people, and then something suddenly happened. A8 is sudden love or sudden misfortune also. Here it was sudden love because there is an exalted planet there, exalted Mercury was there. It is a strong Arudha. So and even the 8th house itself is very strong. It has Lagna Lord, Mars. So because of it, the association between A8 and A9 ended up giving him luck and sudden fortune. That is a very interesting point. So if you look at the Rashi chart, it is the base chart for everything. It is the physical manifestation, the physical existence. In that chart, Rahu is in the 2 Arudha. From Arudha Lagna, from the overall status, he is in the 9th house of fortune, protecting his status, and he is in A4 and A9. There is a yoga between A4 and A9. A4 is house that you occupy or own, and A9 is the fortune. So there is a yoga between the 2 Arudhas and Rahu. And that Rahu in Chaturthamsha, he is aspecting this Ketuka, and Arudha Lagna he is aspecting, and then when the results of his aspect on Ketukan, what to give the result during those 6 months, 6 months or 8 months, during those 8 months, now, Tithi Pravesh. Yes. Yeah. Not really good. They have a good relationship. Mercury is good with Rahu, with Saturn, with Venus, with all those, all that gang.
So the first Mercury is also.
Oh, you are saying Rahu's Drishti on Virgo is basically being helped by the fact that his friend Mercury is there. Yeah, why not? Why? Because, go back to the analogy that I gave long back. The house is like a project. Okay? The house lord is like, house is like a group that is handling a project. House lord is like group manager of all the people who are in the group. Occupants are the members of that group. And Karaka is the project manager. So if you look at that, and Grahadrishti is, planets having Grahadrishti is people who want to contribute to that project. And Rashi Drishti is people, Grahas having Rashi Drishti on a sign are analogous to people who have some exposure, who have some skills needed for that project. People who have a chance of working in that project. Whereas Grahadrishti means they have a desire to work. They may or may not work. But they have a desire to work in that project. There is an internal desire. So Rahu has a desire to give results relating to what is shown by workers. And the group manager as well as the group member, Mercury is in that house and he owns that house. So the member of that group, the lone member of that group is also the manager of that group. So his friend says, hey, I like doing that project, can you do that project? And then he says, yeah, why not? Come on board. So when either Mercury gets a control over his life based on Dasha Samsudasha, or when Rahu gets a control over his life, so the result will be given. Pardon? No, second house Argala on the ninth house, Bhagya. That is the thing. He has linked with ninth house, ninth lord, A9. All the three. He has Argala on the ninth house. He has Yoga with the ninth lord. He has Drishti on the A9. So he has linked with all the ninth house letters. And ninth house is Sattva. They were happy. Now, do you want to go to Tithi Pravesh also and see, because the natal chart shows some fortune during that event in a foreign country. But it should be seen in the annual chart also, otherwise the event wouldn't happen. So look at the Tithi Pravesh chart of 2005. How is the Tithi Pravesh chart? You don't know unfortunately you don't know the exact month or period. Yeah. Yeah, you don't know the exact. July to November is not helpful. So we will leave the Dasha, but we will just look at the chart and see if there are any yoga. And we will look at the Hora Lord and Lagna. Okay. The Hora Lord is Venus. The ruler of the year is Venus. But is there any fortune that you see in this chart relating to house? Relating to a house he owns or occupies, with any fortune that you see in this chart. Pardon me? Okay. First look at the Rashi and then look at the Chaturthana. In the Rashi chart, the fourth lord of house, fourth house is the house of house. The astrological house of physical house. The house of house. And the Lord Moon is the Lagna Lord and 8th Lord Mars. So there is a Chandramangal yoga. There is a yoga between Moon and Mars. Is it close or is it very weak? Degrees, look here. You can't see everything, but you can see part of it. Moon is in the first degree. Mars is in the 5th degree. So they are basically within 4 degrees, 4.5 degrees from each other. So that's very close. Within 6 degrees is a close conjunction. So Moon and Mars have a close conjunction. So relating to the fourth lord, there is a nice yoga. Now look at Chaturthamsa. The 5th house of Poropunya and the 9th house of luck. Do they have any, are they strong? The Lagna Lord Moon is again conjoining Yogakarka Mars. Mars is Yogakarka for Cancer Lagna. He owns the 10th house. He owns the 10th house of Aries and 5th house of Scorpio. So because he owns a quadrant and a trine, Mars is a Yogakarka, and that Mars is having a conjunction with Moon. Is that good or bad? Actually, if the conjunction is good, the yoga is definitely good. But being in the 6th house, is it good for Moon and Mars? Are they in a good house? Is that yoga being formed in a good house or a bad house? Is Mars strong in the 6th house or weak in the 6th house? Is it a house he enjoys being in or house he hates being in? 6th house, the house of, it's an Upasaya. 3, 6 and 11 are houses that Saturn, Mars, Rahu, Ketu enjoy being in. So he likes, he's in a very good house for him. 6th house is not a good house for others, but for Mars it's a good house. For Moon, is it a good house or bad house? Why? Is he a benefic or malefic? For malefic, 3, 6, 11 are good. For benefic, they are not so good. Is Moon, you see? Moon is of Krishna Ekadashi. That means almost close to Amavasya. And this is basically the waning fortnight. So is Moon a benefic or malefic? Whenever I ask anything relating to Moon, the first thing you should look at is Tithi. See whether he is a benefic or malefic. Based on it, his action will be totally different. His behavior will be totally different. So he is a malefic just like Mars. So two natural malefics are conjoining in the 6th house. Good. So this Chandramangal yoga as well as this Raja yoga being given by the Lagna Lord and 6th Lord, especially Lagna Lord and 6th Lord yoga is very good. It brings the Poropunya. The Poropunya that the great deeds that you have done in the past, either this life or previous life, they come to the fore during this time. So this yoga between Lagna Lord and 6th Lord is auspicious because it happens in Upasaya. Now the thing is, if they give yoga, that's not enough. the important thing when you are talking about a tangible fortune like winning a lottery relating to a house, A9 is important. A4 is the house that you want, and A9 is very, very important. How is A9? Do they have any link with the A9? They have Grahadrishti as well as Grahadrishti on A9. And again, the 8th house, 8 and A9 are conjoining, just like we saw in the natal chart. In this year's chart also, A9, the tangible manifestation of luck, and A8, the tangible manifestation of suddenness. Those two are conjoining. So some sudden event like winning a lottery or something, unless there is some link between A9 and A8, doesn't have to be together. Some strong link between A9 and A8, you won't get fortune in a lottery or sudden inheritance or something suddenly happening, giving you fortune. That is not possible. So here again the same thing is happening. A9 and A8 are together and they are being affected by this Raj Yoga. And as a matter of fact, you should realize one thing. Is it a yoga given only by Moon and Mars or somebody else joining the party? Jupiter is joining the party. Jupiter has Drishti on Moon and Mars. Moon, Mars and Jupiter, they are accessing each other. So, dispositor of the Raj Yoga is accessing. Excellent, brilliant point. So, even more powerful. And moreover, he is the 9th Lord of fortune. The 5th Lord Mars, the 9th Lord Jupiter, the Lagna Lord Moon. All the 3 trine lords have a party there. Very auspicious. And also, of course, apart from Raj Yogas, several Raj Yogas between them, you have the Gadikesari Yoga, Chandramangal Yoga, Gurumangal Yoga, all those yogas are there. So this Moon, Mars, Jupiter combo is really, really powerful. For me? 8th Lord Saturn, who gives sudden changes. Yeah. Especially Moon, who is a very important planet in the natal chart for fortune. Moon and Jupiter, if you remember, they were the 5th and 9th Lord. Remember in the natal chart in G4. Those planets have a play again here. So usually when you see yoga similar to what exists in the natal chart, in the annual chart, and if some of the planets involved there are also involved, you can expect something important happening in respect to that divisional chart. Matters shown by that divisional chart. So during this year, he had a big break, big luck. Okay? Okay? Sure. He wants to guess the dasha. Take it as an exercise. What is the possible period when this luck may have happened? When he won the lottery. You want to guess? Who may have given the luck? Let's eliminate first. The possibilities are Jupiter, Rahu, Venus, Sun, Moon. Can you eliminate somebody? Is Rahu possible? Okay. He's the 8th Lord. Okay. He's the Hora Lord. He is also the 4th Lord. Venus is the 4th Lord. Okay. Pardon me? Yes, very good. Now I ask you to eliminate somebody. Is Sun capable of giving the event? During October 31 to November 19. Pardon me? Between? Okay, you are saying that it's not, okay, it's not even, Sun and Moon he is ruling out based on what he remembers. Based on the time frame. So when at the time of open house, was it a house that was already constructed? Or it was new? It's a new development. So there was one lottery for a new house. So who is a likelihood? This is before Venus. Is Jupiter capable of giving it? Rahu and Venus, are they capable of giving? Rahu, you would think less. What about Venus? Venus is the Hora Lord, the ruler of the year. Like we discussed earlier, if any important combinations are there in the chart, the ruler of the year can give the result of the year. It is analogous to if you have a company if some people work hard and did something really great, it will be the CEO who will go and present it. And CEO will get the credit. CEO will say, oh, this company is doing a great job. So like that, the ruler of the year is like CEO of a company. The year is like a company, the ruler of the year is like CEO of the company. So
He's also the fourth lord.
yeah, of course, yeah. He is also the fourth lord. So he can give important events relating to house. That is possible. But I am talking about this fortune. So even though he is not the planet involved with 9th house or A9, he has an Arbela on A9, but that's not a big deal. If Venus was not the ruler of the year, you won't expect Venus to give this event. You will expect Moon, Mars or Jupiter to give this event. But because Venus is the ruler of the year, Venus Dasha is a possibility. But will Venus give his own result or will Rahu give his result? Rahu will end up giving Venus result. So Rahu is a strong possibility. Jupiter and Rahu are strong possibilities and Venus is a secondary possibility. So those are the possibilities.
Jupiter has more association with multiple Rajas.
Absolutely. Jupiter is the one. There are very clear yogas, various yogas and Rajogas. So if we were to guess, would you guess Jupiter? Will you think that Jupiter would give that fortune? Jupiter in A9, the 9th lord, he would give that fortune. Would you say that?
I think
How many for Jupiter? How many for Rahu? Nobody likes Rahu. Okay. So the consensus is Jupiter. He's doing the Jupiter Dasha. He won the last year. Yeah. Before July 15. Between May 13 to July 15, during Jupiter Dasha, he won the lottery. That is the consensus of the people who have guts to raise their hand. That is, and nobody picks off. Okay. You talk to the person and come to me. Okay. Any other things you want to see in this card? You don't know any other thing. So we'll leave. But the thing is, even if you don't know anything, you can in general guide, tell people, do prayer to this god or do prayer to this goddess. It doesn't hurt. So is there any prayer that you want to suggest? Let's go back to the natal chart. Anything you see as very important for this person? Just any random thought. Who is the Ishtadevata? How come it doesn't go? There's a bug. I think if you fix the chart, yeah, it's actually the way I programmed it. If you click a mouse, it will go. It didn't go here. I think, no, mouse is working, see? Mouse is working. The thing is, some events happened basically. After that, basically, this persistence, I had to deal with it. There is something. Pardon me? Yeah, you guys also, I'm sure, have. See, in my case it works. But it's basically a bug that got triggered by a series of events. Those who are familiar with software will know that bugs don't always happen. They happen when something triggers it. So let us try. Yeah, it goes. If you click the mouse, immediately it goes. Because I didn't click the mouse and probably failed some windows and did something. There will be some flag needed for resetting this is gone. Something like that. Okay, anyway, doesn't matter. The best solution is reboot. Not the computer, but the software. Close and reopen, will be fine. Resetting everything is all, that is the way in computer. Reset, you are all set. Okay. Any suggestions you want to give? Vamsi, take this example. Who is the Ishtadevata? Who is the Atmakaraka? Moon is the Atmakaraka. And where is he in Navamsha? The chart of Devata? Pisces. Atmakaraka is in Pisces. What is the 12th house of Moksha from Atmakaraka in Navamsha? Aquarius. Who owns it? Saturn and Rahu. Who's stronger? Saturn is stronger. And who is he with? Sun. So which Devata will you say? Saturn with Sun in mercurial sign. Which Devata? Saturn in general, which Devata will you say? Saturn is Vishnu. Okay? Sun is Shiva. Moon is Devi, Shakti, Parvati. Mars is Skanda, Kumara or Kartikeya or Hanuman. Mercury, Vishnu. Jupiter, some guru form like Sadashiva, Jagannatha, Dattatreya. Then Venus, Dakshamurti. Venus is Lakshmi. Saturn, again Vishnu. Venkateswara is a specific form. But in general, for Saturn, you can say Vishnu. Rahu, Durga. Ketu, Ganesha, Vinayaka. So these are the general gods that we suggest. And here, the 12th Lord Saturn, that too he is in a mercurial sign. Saturn is a Mercury sign. So definitely it's a Vishnu form. Which form should it be? He is with Sun. So do you want to say a special form based on Sun or in general say Venkateswara? You can say Venkateswara, but he is with Sun. So Saturn with Sun, you can say Rama also. So Rama was seen right to him. Yeah, Rama was seen appropriate. And who is the Parana Devata? Mercury is the Atmakaraka. Yeah, Amatyaka, sorry, what did I say? I mean, Mercury is the Amatyakaraka, and from Mercury the 6th house is Aries. So Rahu is in the 6th house from Amatyakaraka. So you should look at the 6th house. Look at the occupant if there is an occupant, otherwise look at the Lord. So Rahu, you can, based on Rahu, you can say the Parana Devata. So for Rahu, you can say Durga. So if he prays to Durga, she will take care of his livelihood, give him money, give him food, etc. So Durga is good for livelihood, and if he is interested in moksha, then Vishnu form, and probably Rama. If he prays to Rama, then he will go towards moksha. He will make some progress regarding moksha. Okay. If you want to see Dharmadevata, why not? How do you see Dharmadevata? Who is the planet who makes him do dharma? Ninth is the Dharmasthana. From whom? From Atmakaraka. From whom did you see Dharmadevata? From Yeke. From Atmakaraka. Actually, instead of Yeke, you can just say Atmakaraka. It takes almost the same time. If you say Yeke, it sounds like AK-47. Okay, Atmakaraka. We can type acronyms when we say 10 emails, but when we talk, we can say the word Atmakaraka, Amatyakaraka, they are not difficult. So Atmakaraka is moon. And from him the 9th house is occupied by Mercury. So who show Mercury? You can just say Mercury. For Mercury you can say Vishnu also. But if you want to get more generic, for Scorpio you can take something that is the true Scorpio. Who would that be? It's a Martian sign, so maybe Narsimha. You can say Narsimha. Or you can just say, combine Ishtadevata and Dharmadevata. You can just say Vishnu, instead of Rama and Narsimha. Just pray to Vishnu. If this guy, if you just take some form of Vishnu and some mantra of Vishnu, it can be as simple as Om Vishnuvaya Namah. That's enough. And if he prays to Vishnu every day with some principle, some yama, some niyama, set some rules. The thing with rules is, everybody has their own rules based on what appeals to them. Which rules you set is not that important. But whether you follow the rules that you yourself or your guru set, that is more crucial. So set some rules for praying to Vishnu. Maybe every Wednesday I will read Vishnu Sahasranam, or maybe every day I will do Om Vishnuvaya Namah 1,000 times. Like that, set some rules. And I will do it before eating food, or maybe I will do it after taking bath. Some rules if he says. And according, as per the rules, if he prays to Vishnu every day, or every week, or every so-and-so day, it will be very auspicious. It will remind him who he is, what his mission is, what he has to accomplish in this world, and then take him towards moksha. So Vishnu prayer is very, very auspicious for you. Any other thoughts you want to share? Is he in general a spiritual person? Do you think he is a spiritual person? Don't say just because he knows Keshu he must be spiritual. Because Keshu is spiritual. It doesn't work like that. See, the thing is, if you talk, that will be a clue to everybody. You know this guy.
I'm just saying from the point of view of
Okay. 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 Ketu is in Lagna. If Ketu is in Lagna or 12th house, in general, there is a strong chance that there is some spirituality. Okay. Not only that, if Ketu is in Lagna, there is some eccentricity or some craziness about the person. The person will be jumping to conclusions, making erroneous judgments, will not be thinking but acting hastily sometimes. Some kind of hastiness is there to the personality, some kind of weirdness. Pakalagna is even more dangerous because that is how you use your intelligence. So Pakalagna is dangerous, meaning it's not really dangerous. It will show up even more. So there is some kind of craziness about the personality, and this is Leo Lagna. So some kind of stubbornness or authority. He conducts himself with a lot of he would not listen to anybody. That kind of person he would be. So if you are giving advice, apart from the fact that you look at devatas and say do puja to this devata, there can be some personality traits that you can identify and tell the person. Be a little more humble, listen to people, think more logically and do. So that the tendencies of the Lagna are balanced. So in general, when you see a person, you can look at the Lagna, Pakalagna, get some general basic traits and then give an advice. These are your basic traits. Try to be a little different. For everybody, there are certain qualities that God puts in us, and we have to change. We have to basically overcome those qualities. Then we will find our true self. So that is one thing you can tell him, and all these pujas that he told him, they will be very beneficial. Is there anything else you can say about his spirituality? So Ketu in Lagna meaning there is some spirituality. Is there anything else? You want what? Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I want to discuss this one. Yeah. Isha Devata, Parama Devata, Brahma Devata, we are looking at the occupant of the house. You can. The real formula is much more complicated, and there is no clear formula also given by tradition. You take the Lord, you take the occupant, you take the aspectors, whatever you take, they will finally take you in the right direction. So, to simplify so that people don't confuse, the thing with aspects is dangerous. Just because somebody wants to influence his dharma doesn't mean he will make him dharma. Whereas occupant and Lord, they are relatively safe. But if you ask me, more than occupant, if you just take the Lord always, you are safe. That is even safer. He is in charge of that particular place. But the thing is, whoever you choose it. As long as there is a link to that house, they will take you in the right path. So first you may start with Vishnu, and then maybe Vishnu will take him towards Hanuman. Who knows? So all those things are possible. Things happen in their own order. The thing is, you may think, oh, I am a very good astrologer, I know so much, so I'll tell somebody, do this mantra, he will do it 108 times and he will get moksha. It doesn't work like that in reality. You tell him something, that will lead to something else, that will lead to something else, that will lead to something else, and that will lead to some progress in this life. And then that will lead to next life start having certain combinations. That will lead to something else. So there is a big chain, and there may be millions of events. You may just trigger that chain basically. That's all we are doing. So from that point of view, don't put too much pressure on your shoulders thinking, oh man, I have to find the real right devata. It doesn't matter. As long as you give one devata, that is enough. But if you look at this 9th house, 12th house business, you basically already taken maybe 10 steps ahead. But still there are million more steps. Yeah. That may be true. But there are some traits that are negative, some traits that are positive. Some traits that are in general not conducive. For example, Ketu is in Lagna, so there will be some spirituality, inherent spirituality. So I am not telling you, don't be spiritual, you are a little bit spiritual. Try to not be spiritual. I am not saying that. Whereas, one good thing about Leo Lagna is they can get things done. They are good administrators. They can delegate things to the right people and get things done. So again, that's a good trait. So I am not telling him not to do that. But it also gives some stubbornness. Not being, the person not being willing to listen to people, some kind of authority. The stubbornness, to do away with it, it's not at all bad for you. Maybe for a particular person, the stubbornness is given for a reason. Maybe that is also true. So that is a risk you are taking as an astrologer. Whether your advice is resulting in good or bad in the long run, that is actually very tough to know. There are no thumb rules for it. You just go by your intuition. Sometimes you just feel like telling somebody, giving you an advice, you just give it. You are just going by your intuition. Hopefully it is good. Depending on how pure the light within you is, the advice you give ends up being either correct or not correct. So don't worry too much about it. If you don't want to give that advice, you don't have to. It's not so important. But if you feel like giving that advice, for some people it can be good. Yeah. For example, yesterday I'll give an example. A few days back I found somebody who is going through a divorce case, and his wife, I won't tell you the details, but she did things that you can't imagine. A normal, intelligent, God-fearing person wouldn't do those things. That kind of things she did. That kind of allegations she put against him. She used his own. When I saw the chart, I immediately asked his father. He is very emotional. In this court case, he has to be very, very strong and not emotional. With emotion, this person has Cancer Lagna. And typically, Cancer Lagna people are very sensitive and emotional. So this person basically thinks with his heart and does things with his heart, not with his brain. So when he does something with a very simplistic and sensitive thinking, illogical thinking, what ends up happening is the other person is very shrewd and very cunning and very manipulative. So the other person is using that against this person. So that is what I sensed when I saw the Cancer Lagna and when I saw the Navamsha, Rahu in the 7th house. That is what I sensed. Rahu is an enemy of Moon. Rahu is in the 7th house in Navamsha, and Cancer is the Lagna in Rati chart. So I said, your son is very emotional, tell him to not be emotional. And then he said, actually he did certain things emotionally, being an unsuspecting person, and those were used against him in court. I said, yeah, that is a strong possibility that will continue to happen. So in such a case, if you tell the person, be a little more logical, don't go by your heart, listen to your lawyer, etc. It's a good advice. But again, who knows, it may be a bad advice. For him, being like that and going through all the suffering, maybe that is good for him. Maybe that will cut short his path to moksha by maybe 10 lives. You never know. So maybe when I gave that advice, it was bad. But his parents were so troubled by it. They were crying by the suffering he is going through. So I just felt like saying that, so I told him. So the thing is, as an astrologer, whatever advice you give, assuming it has an impact on the person, it can be for good or for bad. And moreover, there is no real good or bad. It's all about whether your path to moksha is 10 million lives or 2 million lives. It's all about that. There is nothing really good or bad in the long run. In the long run, everything is good or everything is bad. Yes. So for that reason, what I suggest is, don't worry too much about whether the advice you are giving is good or bad. As long as you have some logic in your brain supporting that advice, you can give that advice. It will end up being for good. But most important thing, let me say this is the most important point. Whatever advice you are giving, don't think that I am an astrologer, I learned from SJP so many principles, I know how to see things. So that is why I made that good prediction. That is why I am giving them this good advice. If you start thinking along these lines, if you think that you are giving the advice, you incur new karma. So whatever happens because of that advice, whether it is for so-called good or so-called bad, it will impact you. So all the things that happen to people who are advised by you, they will come to you as karma. You are impacted by that karma. Definitely you are. It's not something in vacuum. It is very, very real. So if you told somebody, don't be emotional, talk to your lawyer and do, that may have totally steered him off course of whatever course he was on. It may steer him off the course of his journey, soul's journey. And you will basically experience the results of that. You have to take the karma. If somebody is not taking the karma, you are taking the karma. So this is assuming that you think that you are doing. If you sincerely believe, not just for the sake of believing, sincerely believe that you are not doing, but she or he or it, depending on how you look at God. If you sincerely believe that God is doing that way, not you. If you basically give up the doership of your doing, then you will not be touched by any karma. It is not a state very easy to obtain, but if you keep trying, it will happen. And in the beginning, you can fake. You can say, I'm not doing this, please do it. But you may, inside you may know, no, yeah, I'm doing it. But still it is good, it is a start. You should start like that. And eventually it will become more and more strong within your heart. That is very important. Whatever astrology you learn, as long as you don't give up the doership, you are only entering the karma. So give up the doership, and then also the advice that you are giving will come from the inner light within you. Then that advice will be very fruitful. You may make wrong predictions, or you may say something that may seem weird, but it will end up being for the good in the long run. That is the goal. By good, what I mean is, even when you say Devi, you say the whole world is filled by her, let us say. Then, when Mahishasura fought with Durga, the Kriya Shakti, the Ichha Shakti, the desire of Mahishasura to do so and so thing, that was her. The Kriya Shakti, the energy in the action that Mahishasura took, that was her. And then she came and fought with him. That was her again. It is she who makes us move, makes us think, makes us desire. So everything is her. But she has various manifestations. The Devi, she has various manifestations. One manifestation is pulling in this direction. Another manifestation is pulling in that direction. So, in other words, if you give an advice now, the so-called bad advice, that is also given by her. If you give a so-called good advice, that is also given by her. But what I am saying is, inside all these manifestations of her, there is one manifestation which is the purest. Even if you get close to some other manifestation, it is good. But as you get closer and closer to the purer inside manifestation, it is close to Nirguna Parabrahma. As you get close to her free manifestation, then that leads to more good. When I say, as the light inside you becomes stronger, whatever you say ends up being for good in the long run. This is what I mean. Even otherwise it is leading to good in the long run. But good from the point of view of some other manifestation of Devata. But as you become purer, it will be good from the point of view of the supreme inside light that I am talking about, innermost light. If you understand, it is good. If you don't understand what I meant, don't worry. It's not so important. So, any other points? Yes? Yeah. Oh, Saturn is in Mercurian. No. I wanted to decide based on Saturn because he is the 12th lord. Now, to see which Devata suits Saturn, for Saturn you can give so many Devatas. For example, somebody said Kali, you can give Kali also. Or you can, for Saturn, Vishnu is one of the possibilities. So, I was looking at the influences on Saturn. Okay? So, the influence on Saturn is in a Mercurian sign with Sun. So, I said Vishnu Avatara, maybe Sun. Okay? And the same Saturn, let us say, is with Rahu, let us say. Let's say Scorpio. I would have suggested, even though Saturn can show Vishnu, because of the Rahu influence, because of Scorpio, an Ugra sign, I would have said maybe Chandi, maybe Kali, Chamunda. So I would have gone on a different path. So Saturn can show so many Devatas, depending on what sign he occupies and what planets are with him, he can give the form. And again, you may make a misjudgment, it doesn't really matter. You will reach to the path. It will be just an additional step, or maybe an additional 2 or 3 steps. Astrology. We are just suggesting some Devatas. And all the Devatas that you worship are from Navamsha. That is why we look at Navamsha. We suggest some Devatas so that the person can worship. If you are really curious about whether he is spiritual or not, like you said, Nishansha is the thought. Yeah. Now, the thing is, this is actually very, on a 46 seconds later, the Nishansha Lagna will change. So, this Lagna is actually very risky. It may or may not be Taurus, it may be Gemini also. So, let's not jump to any conclusions on this thing. Similarly, profession. if this person's profession is of interest and you want to say something about the career of the person, the Lagna can be Libra or Scorpio. Why? Because this is just behind 9 degrees. 9 degrees is where Nishamsa, Dashamsa, everything changes. Dashamsa changes every 3 degrees. Nishamsa Lagna changes every 1.5 degrees. That 9 degrees is a multiple of 3 degrees as well as 1.5 degrees. So we saw that Nishamsa changes after 46 seconds. I bet if you do this in Dashamsa, then will Lagna change in D10, you will get the same 46 seconds backwards. See? So after 46 seconds, the Lagna in Dashamsa and Nimshamsa is changing. Though the person said 1930, maybe 731, they may have made a mistake. He may not have cried or he may not have taken breath until the next minute. So the person who noted the time, or maybe they rounded, it was 9:31, but the clock maybe that minute thing was close to the 30, so they thought maybe 30. So all those things are possible. So you cannot be sure that this Dashamsa is accurate. This could be Libra or this could be Scorpio. If you know something about the career, you can guess. And then if you guess the Dashamsa Lagna, based on it, you can guess the Vinshamsa Lagna also. That fixes the Vinshamsa Lagna. Do you know about his career?
He is a cost accountant.
He's a?
Cost accountant.
What does cost accountant mean? Accountant.
Working in business of now,
Okay, he doesn't design the ERP solution, he uses it. Application engineer, okay, he is in Oracle Financial. So which planet should show that? He is in QA. So he works on Oracle software and he does quality control. So which planet, does this Lagna make sense? Let's look at Dashamsa DPs also and then let us compute. Does it make sense? Yeah. Second house, 6th house and 10th house. Those are the houses of career. So with this Lagna, does it make sense that he is a working financial applications engineer? Okay, is this something that he has done? This is the line he has been doing. So, which planet would you expect in the 10th house or 6th house or the Artha Trikona? Mercury. Okay, association of Mercury also. So does this Lagna make sense or do you think Scorpio would make more sense? Okay. Rahu and Mercury in the 10th house. Very good. Very good. Okay, so we don't have a lot of time to go through this in detail, but based on the minutes that we can spend on this, it does look like the time is long. Instead of Libra, if the Dashamsa Lagna had this Scorpio, it would make more sense. Okay. Now let us speculatively. Yes, Saturn could be clear. Saturn could be. You can argue both. Depending on exactly what this is. But Venus is the planet of all the details, and he is in Abamsa here. So if he is in the 6th house, it makes perfect sense. And Mercury Rahu also makes perfect sense. So Saturn you can make some sense, but he is much more convincing. So my guess is Scorpio is more right. Now in the Vinshamsa, the Lagna would be Gemini. If Gemini is the Lagna, who is the Devata, Ishtu Devata? Who is the Devata that he will have attachment to? Sixth house is Saturn, occupied by Saturn in a Venusian sign. So what would you say? Earlier we saw Saturn as the Moksha Devata, Ishtu Devata who gives Moksha, and here also there is some attachment. So there may be an attachment to Lakshmi Narayana already. It's not just cultivated. But is he a spiritual person? Once again, is he a spiritual person based on this Vinshamsa? Atmagarga is in Lagna. Is that good or bad? Good. Atmagarga in Lagna in any divisional chart is good for that divisional chart. And the 12th Lord Venus is in Lagna. 12th Lord Venus is in Lagna. And Lagna is being aspected by Jupiter. Lagna Lord Mercury is with Jupiter. Jupiter is here. And the Lagna axis. All the 4 benefits, actually Moon is not a benefit in this chart, but all the 3 benefits are on the Lagna axis. which is excellent. Lagna Lord, 6th Lord and 10th. So he's a spiritual person. So if you tell him do this puja, he may already be doing or he may be willing to do that. So he's not a religious kind of person. He's a religious person. Okay. So with that we will conclude this chart in the next 15-20 minutes. Let us take up something else. Why? Why Jupiter for Ketu? Yeah. You are taking this too far. Last class also I have seen. Yeah. Yes. If Rahu and Ketu are giving any problems, Guru will help. But in general, see, for example, I told you earlier, if Sun and Rahu are together, we try to give them. It's Satsang. So like that, if Rahu or Ketu are giving problems, we do try to give them. But here, you don't really have to, don't always start saying Jupiter for Rahu and Ketu. For Rahu and Ketu, they have their own devata. So you can take, if Ketu is giving problems, you can take Ganesha also. There is seriously no problem. Actually for here, Ketu is in Leo. What form of Ganesha would be very auspicious for him? There are so many forms of Ganesha. Very good. You come across a Surya Ganapati mantra, please share it. No. Do you know, like there is Mohan Ganapati, Vidya Ganapati, Shakti Ganapati, Raja Ganapati, like this there are so many Ganapatis. Lakshmi Ganapati. Which Ganapati would be appropriate here? Okay, very good. Akka, so you can that's your saying. Especially it's a, yeah, okay. Especially a heating leaf. That leaf and flower are very heating. That's why it's called Yadarka. And also sun is supposed to like it. That's why it's called Yadarka. Good suggestion because of the sun. Any other thing that you can say? Ketu in Leo. Anybody's intuition says Leo is Surya, okay, but what else is it? When you say Leo, what is the word that comes to your mind? And what else? Simha is what of the jungle? King. So Leo, when you say Leo is associated with royalty, right? Leo is a kingly royal sign. So Ketu is there. Raja Ganapati. There is a form of Ganapati, there is a Raja Ganapati mantra. I don't know if there is a Surya Ganapati mantra somewhere, right? You can definitely get Raja Ganapati mantra. So if he does Raja Ganapati, if he does a Homam of Ganapati, Mahaganapati, with the Raja Ganapati mantra, do Raja Ganapati mantra 1,000 times, it will be so auspicious. It will put him in a very good position. Any other thoughts, anybody? Actually, we don't have a lot of time to see another chart anyway. So what we will do is, we will spend some more time on this chart and just go on a fun trip on this chart, which we are already doing. How is this year for this person? Yeah. G2 is the finances, the wealth. You want to see G2? Yeah. Okay. Why not? Why not? Okay. So we are looking at the Hora chart. The chart of, this is the natal chart. So we went back to the natal chart. We went to the natal chart. In the natal chart, Hora chart, in the sun, moon, towards the end of Sandasha, before Moondasha started, it had a fortune. It was not really money, but it was basically a home that came to him as a fortune. Sun, does he have any, how is sun? Does he show any fortune? Any financial windfall? Yeah. Lagna has a very strong yoga between A9, A5 and A10. A9 is the tangible luck. A10 is the karma that you do relating to your financial life. The karma in the financial life. And A5 is again manifestation of your Purusha. So because of this yoga, and Sun is the Lord and he is aspecting it. During the Sandasha, there can be some financial fortune also. It must have happened? Yeah, probably, most likely. Venus is the lord of A8, the sudden change in the financial position. And A9 Sun. So they are together and aspecting Lagna. And also Arul Lagna. So Sun Venus is a very auspicious Antardasha, and that's when it happens. So Sun Venus Antardasha. So during that Antardasha, lot of financial luck. Now, Narayana Dasha you want to see? See the Narayana Dasha of Kashinath Saurashtra. How is the Narayana Dasha? It happened during Cancer Dasha. Does it make any sense? Does it make any sense, honestly? Who will give the, okay, Cancer. It is a Pushpadaya Rashi. It gives results in the last one third. Then, we don't have to look at other one third. It gives results in the last one third. That's what we are interested in. Now, does it make sense? It doesn't. Yeah. Doesn't make sense. Everybody agrees that it doesn't make sense. During the last one third of Cancer Dasha, when Cancer is supposed to give the result, it didn't happen. Yeah. But during the Cancer Dasha, spending lot of money on a property, does it make some sense? The 12th lord of expenditure or investment is in the 4th house of home. And the 4th lord is in 12th house. Between Moon and Ketu, there is an exchange. So during that Dasha, investing a lot of money in real estate or in house is a possibility. But you would expect that in the one third in which Moon will give the result, not in Cancer. Or maybe you can say Cancer is the 12th house, so it's an expenditure. So it is basically showing up as an expenditure rather than as a big factor. Or there may be something that we are missing. The thing with Narayana Dasha is occasionally there may be a point that we are missing. There may be a rider that we are missing in the calculation. So maybe yes. So if you say reverse, if Ketu is there, if you say reverse the 3 1/3, then this happened not when Cancer was giving the result, but when Moon was giving the result. Pardon me? During the last shift? Okay, let us step back. Not last shift. Yeah. Moon is a male picture. Yoga. Ketu Moon Parivartana. Okay? So that makes sense, something. So, what I was saying is, normally, Cancer being a Pushpadaya Rashi would have given its result in the last one third. And Cancer and lot of Cancer Moon being in a Pushpadaya Rashi, Scorpio, he would have given his result in the beginning. So middle one third will be Yoga. First one third is Moon, last one third is Cancer. But what Narayan pointed out is Ketu is there. So maybe when Ketu is there, usually we reverse. Maybe it applies to the 3 1/3 rule. We don't have clear guidance from the tradition on this. But sometimes you can be creative and then experiment, see if it makes sense. So assuming that you have to reverse the indications in this case, in the last one third it will be the Moon's result, not Cancer's result. And for Moon, planets, we have the other rule. We can divide into 4 1/4, right? You remember that rule? So this last one third, these 4 Antardashas, if you divide into 4 parts, Moon will give the results of, what is the rule? For benefit, first they bother about where they are. They take care of the place they are in, so house occupied. And then they take care of other people that they are with, yoga. And then finally they take care of the avastha, not avastha, the responsibility, the houses they own. And finally they bother about their own happiness, their own avastha, their own state. So that's the order. For benefit, house occupied, yoga, house owned, and then the nature of the planet, the state of the planet. In this order they give the result. For malefic, it's the reverse. They first bother about their own happiness. So their avastha, and then the houses they own, and then no, we reverse avastha and then yoga. We reverse actually. So avastha and then yoga, and then the house he owns, and then house he occupies. So this happened, moon is a malefic here, and this happened in the second 1/4. So it is basically when moon gives the results of his yoga. And what are the yogas he has? He has Parivartana, between 4th and 12th Lord Parivartana, between the lords of the house and the lord of expenditure. There is a Parivartana between them. So, as far as, pardon me? Yeah, that's what I am saying. Parivartana between the lord of 12th house and lord of 4th house. So there was an investment on a house. Okay? So even though he won 200,000 concession, basically he spent a lot of money. So as far as finances are, what is happening on the ground? See, I told you earlier, Vinchotri Dasha shows your mental state, and Narayana Dasha shows what's happening on the ground reality. So as far as Narayana Dasha is concerned, this is showing up as an expense, a big expense. As far as your financial situation is concerned, you are spending a lot of money. You are committing. Control is also commitment. You are committing a lot of money. That is how it's showing up. In the Vinchotri Dasha, how is it showing up? It's showing up as big fortune. So the person thinks, oh my God, what a fortune I made, $200,000 I gained. But Narayana Dasha, that is why I told you earlier. Narayana Dasha is the reality. No emotions, no feelings there. And Vinchotri Dasha is full of feelings. So even though he may have spent some $400,000 or something, it shows up as, oh, $200,000 gain. So it shows up as a big fortune. That's the difference between Narayana Dasha and Vinchotri Dasha. This is a very good example to see the focus. Like I said earlier, the vantage point is different. You are looking at the same room. If you look from the corner, it looks different. If you look from the sky, it looks different. So like that, Narayana Dasha and Vinchotri Dasha enable you to look at the life of a person, the events in the life of a person from various angles. Okay? Pardon me? Yeah, especially he spent a lot of money based on the Narayana Dasha. Okay, any other thoughts or any other curiosity? Put that you ask not Hora, because when you are spending a lot of money, it should show up in Hora also. Similarly, let us say somebody is buying a house as an investment. Somebody just buys a house and then sells it after 2 years and makes fortune. Definitely Hora is an important part, because it is a financial transaction. It is not just about owning property. It is about making money. So it should show up in G2 also. If somebody does it as a career, it should show up in G10 also. There should be links between G10 and G4. Yes.
So when somebody is doing some investment, so he is doing some
Pardon me? Oh, when he is investing, it will show up as an expense or as an investment, as a loss basically. It's a loss, temporary loss of money. And when he suddenly makes a lot of money, it will show up as a gain or as a profit. There should be some correlation. Any other thought? Any other thought? See, another correlation. See, when I say correlations are always interesting. Correlate the D4 and the Hora. Hora is financial position. Chaturthamsa is the fortune, the property that you own, the property that you occupy. There is a brilliant Rajoga here, right? There is a brilliant Rajoga on what axis? 6th house axis. The Purva Lord Jupiter is in the 5th house. Sorry, not 6th house, I meant the 3rd house. Capricorn. Forget houses. Capricorn. And the 9th house, Cancer. So between Capricorn and Cancer, there are brilliant yogas. And we saw that those yogas were being figured in the Chaturthamsa Narayana Dasha, right? If you remember. Now, look at Hora. How are those signs in the Hora? The links between various divisional charts are signs and planets. You can use them to link them. What are the links between these two areas of life? Now, how are Cancer and Capricorn in this Hora chart? Rahu Ketu, okay, but which houses are there here? 12th house of expenditure, investment, 6th house of loan. So, the brilliant yogas in the chart of D4, the excellent luck that he experienced relating to home, relating to property, basically results in, as far as financial environment is concerned, it results in taking a big loan and expenditure. spending a lot of money. So that is the link between Horangi and D4. Like that, you can see the link between the the link between the D20 chart, link between various divisionals, and then see what are the links. For example, let us see D20. Same time, if you see a yoga, let us see, have fun, hope you like the movie, enjoy the life. He's going to see Ramdas and Lowell. For him, Lowell is closer. For us, Buster is closer. Maybe book, actually we book. Okay. So, what I was saying is, if you see a brilliant yoga, an important yoga in one of the regional charts, you can locate that sign of the planet, the signs involved or the planets involved, and see in other divisional charts, how are they placed. And then that can give you some clues about how some important events in this area of life impact some other area of life. Grahas and Rashis, planets and signs are the links between various areas of life, various divisional charts. Okay? So your financial environment and your spiritual environment, they may be connected. You may be spending a lot of money on your spiritual activities. Or your professional environment and your educational environment may be intersecting. You may be learning a lot and using it in your education, in your career. So like that, when different environments under which you lead your existence intersect, those intersections are shown by planets and signs which are common between those stars.
The same axis is
Yes.
axis in one environment is the effect of the axis on the different
Yes.
environment.
Somebody may have fortune with respect to property, but that may lead one person to basically have a lot more cash in his bank. Another person, the same fortune, it may result in similar yoga. It may give a fortune relating to property which makes him invest more money. For another person, that may result in a new business starting. Suppose 7,000 Vakamsa has the same sign and one of the planets involved in the yoga, let's say. Maybe he makes $200,000 in property, selling property, and invests that to buy a Dunkin' Donuts, and then suddenly maybe he becomes a millionaire 10 years later. So that is how events that happen in one area of life, they are not happening in a vacuum. Various areas of life are, even though we represent them as various planes of existence, education, spirituality, career, money, etc., they are all interlinked. And who links them? Of course, planets and signs. Okay? So keep that in your mind. And when you start looking at the link between various divisions in future, when you see charts, when you see an excellent yoga, see what that yoga does in various other divisional charts. See what are the links. And that would give you some clues about how those things can be manifest. For me? Yeah. Yeah. You can do that, but I am not talking about linking Rashi and division. I am talking about something more fundamental, linking various divisions. D24 and D10. You can link D20 and D24. You can link. You can link various divisional charts. That's what I mean. Yeah. Something very important happened relating to property. Big luck came to him. Now we are seeing what is its impact on his financial life. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, yes. The overall fortune of a person is from the Rashi chart. And then you can look at various divisional charts. You can suppose somebody gets lucky at work, let's say. In the workplace, a big promotion came. Somebody who was in line for promotion basically left the country, and there was a big problem. Suddenly, a normal group member, let us say, became the manager, and within 2 years, suppose he became a director. The company was acquired by a big company, and let's say he was a director there. So it's a big luck in the profession. But If the planet and the sign involved in that yoga, which resulted in this work in career, if they are not well placed in D2, if they are showing suffering in D2, maybe he will have a lot of fortune in career, but it won't result in more money. There are people who get a lot of position, but no money. Whereas if the same planets are showing a lot of gains in their D2 chart, let us say, in the 11th house or 11th from Arul Lagna or in A9 or A11, etc., then he will not only be promoted and get a big position in career, but also make a lot of money. See what I am saying? So sometimes, just looking at one divisional chart, you won't get a full picture. Unless you mix various divisional charts, you will not be able to get them. Yeah.
And the effect of all of them.
Yes, absolutely. It basically filters down
All of them.
to various planes of existence. It does. Any questions? Okay. Let us see his. Does it have any? Let us see. So his question is, this winning lottery relating to house, does it have any impact on his spirituality? What do you think? Is it triggering? Is that yoga triggering some other yoga in Sanskrit? Now let us remember, we rectified this Lagna to this time. Actually, why don't I just change it? Change but time to move Lagna to the next time. Let's not go that far. Let us just look at the data and we can do it. It has an impact on the second house and the rest. The thing is, what is 8th house, Rahu and Ketu in the 8th house in Sanskrit? Spiritual progress. It shows spiritual progress and experiences. So, the Jupiter, it shows the Poropunya in Chaturthamsa, he is in that. So, winning a lottery and going into that particular house can result in some spiritual progress and some spiritual experience. In the Chaturthamsa. In the Chaturthamsa, whatever sign Jupiter is in, the fifth lord, in the AL, that sign is triggering Rahu and Ketu. So some Purva Punya that gave him a particular house, it can actually trigger spirituality. So the house that he moved into can be conducive to spiritual experience in the coming year. Anything else you can say? Does it have any impact on his theory? See, the thing is, you also have to look at the planetary links, and also you have to use some common sense. Because certain things there is not any possible link. When you suspect that there can be a link, then you should investigate. Now, can there be, what is the impact on the Samsa? The chances is falling on the third and ninth house. Communication, ninth house is the boss. Ninth house is actually Bhargavasthana. Saturn is there, it doesn't show a good boss. Actually, boss feeling a pain for something. Boss troubling him. That's some boss. Yeah. Third and fourth lord. In the ninth house. There isn't any special yoga basically in those signs. So there isn't really much you can say. But there isn't any positive impact on the career. Whereas for somebody else, there may be a fortune that you see in the D4 chart, and let us say there is a big yoga in the 7th house, in the Chaturthamsa, showing big business, successful business. And let us say some of the planets involved in this Chaturthamsa yoga are in the Samsa, in that particular yoga showing business. So for that person, buying a property somewhere and then selling it for let's say $200,000 profit after 3 years, that can be the start of his business. You may start a business with that money and you may become very successful in business. Something like that is also possible. It happens to some people. Whereas not so. Any other thought? But keep this in mind, especially Navamsa, Dashamsa links are very important. Actually Navamsa and various thoughts are very important because Navamsa is the dharma and also the protection that you enjoy based on the dharma that you followed in the past. the protection that you enjoy. Various devatas who are protecting you. That is Navamsa. So that is important for all areas of existence. Whether you are learning, whether you are doing pujas, or whether you are going to your work, or whether you are making money, saving money, in all areas of life, that protection of God is very crucial. So Navamsa is always important. And among other charts, Dashamsa Hora is very important because you are talking about money and career. And Dashamsa and Shodashamsa is important because you are talking about career and happiness. Dashamsa and Chaturvimshamsa is important because you are talking about career and learning. Learning and career go hand in hand. You learn things on job, or you may learn things and use them on job, and so on. So D24 and D10 is very important. And if somebody is spiritual, D10 and D20 is very important because it may not be a career, but they may do something in the society. Somebody may be spiritual and do something in the society. So all the work that you do in the society relating to your spirituality is the link between D20 and D10. So like that, these are all important charts. So these are the standard charts in between which you see the link. But you can get creative and do various others. If you see, for example, somebody like Rajiv Gandhi, there must be a link between D12 and D10. D12 is the chart of parents, D10 is the chart of career. Without his mother, he wouldn't be such a big politician. So definitely there must be a link between D20, D12 and D10. Yeah, I think we saw those links in a previous class. Like that, if there are links between a couple of areas of your life, there must be links between those links. So learn to study those links. It's not very simple. What we saw in these examples is very simple thing, but you can get more deep. So try to look at some examples. Any other questions? Comments? Swadharma. What is the dharma of a person? You can see from the 9th house in Rashi and Navamsa. Navamsa is very important for dharma. So see the 9th house in Atmakarka is even more important than Lagna. You can look at both, but from Atmakarka it is even more important. So that is the dharma of your soul. When you are talking at the level of soul, that is the duty with which the soul came to this world. That is very important. But the thing is, astrology will only say so much. Maybe there is Jupiter, so maybe I have to do some astrology, or maybe very messy, so you think maybe I have to do something for colleges, after library. Or like that you can form some views, but the real guidance will only come from within. Astrology is not really great in giving precise guidance. It can only give general guidance. If you want precise guidance about what is your dharma, it can only come from you. So keep praying to your dharma devata. Again, astrology can help you find the dharma devata. If you pray to your dharma devata, the light will become stronger and stronger, and eventually you will know your dharma yourself. And that is the only reliable way. Any other questions? Yeah. D20. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It is the resource of your dharma. It is the food for your dharma. It is that which feeds your dharma. Oh, 10th house is the 9th from 2nd. Okay. It is the dharma in general, in any, forget D20, in any chart. 10th house is the 9th from 2nd house. What does it mean? 2nd house is the house of your resources. 10th house is the house of the work that you get accomplished. Yeah, it is written also. Yes. Yeah. That vision is a resource in your spiritual progress. Yeah. Rahu and Ketu, don't look them as negative plan. Rahu and Ketu in D20. D20 is not a dharma related chart. It is a spirituality chart. Spirituality is not necessarily being religious. Vishamsa is not based on 9th house field. It is based on 8th house field. What is 8th house? Reaching out for the unknown. So Vishamsa is not a thought of doing puja and doing bhajan. It is those also, but more than those are only the beginning. More than those, Vishamsa is a thought of reaching out for the unknown and understanding your true self and that of the whole world. So from that point of view, sun, moon, Mars, all those have limitations. They have their own body, their own manifestation. That is a limiting thing. Whereas Rahu and Ketu have no such limitation. They don't exist. They don't have a body. So for them, reaching out is very easy. So for Rahu and Ketu, reaching beyond the reachable and exploring the unthinkable or unknown, exploring the secretive things, exploring the occult secrets of the world, mysteries of the world. For that, Rahu and Ketu are very well suited. So if they are associated with any house, that is auspicious. In Shanka, they are very auspicious planets. But the thought I wanted to finish was, the 10th house is the 9th from 2nd. So, the karma that you do is the dharma of your resources. If you have your resources, if I have my, for example, God gave me some knowledge or speaking ability, let us say, or God gave me $1 million, it is in my bank. What is the dharma of that money or the speaking ability I have? It is not to just keep in bank or keep it within me. It is, the dharma of my speaking ability is to teach you so that more people can learn astrology and help people. If somebody has $1 million, the dharma is use that money to construct a temple or construct a hospital or do some good work. So like that, the work that you get accomplished, 10th house, it is the dharma of your resources. You should never keep the resources idle. That is adharma. You use it for doing a work, that is the dharma. That is why 10th house is the 9th house from the 2nd house. Okay, any other thoughts, questions? Otherwise we will end. So we will meet next week, same time, same place. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Then can do. After that.